Hello everyone, welcome to channel Qtomation. In last session, we have seen introduction part and importance of version control system in our automation project. So we have seen how the connection between development, testing team, development team and DevOps team happens in real-time projects. So if you remember in our last session, we have seen that development team will write the code about the features, they will get the requirements, they will write the coding, and after writing the code, initially it will be in their local system. So they will write the code and keep it in their local system. But there can be multiple members from local repository, that is the Git repository, that every individual developer will have in their system, and they will maintain their working copy in the local repository. And after committing that code into local repository, that is Git repository, so everyone will commit their code into their local repository, that is Git repository. After that, they will push the code in one common remote repository. So they will push the code in GitHub repository. So GitHub repository is a global repository, or we can say GitHub repository is a remote repository. And similarly, testing team will also write the test scripts. They will commit the code in their local repository first, and from local repository they will push the code into GitHub repository. So GitHub repository is a remote repository. DevOps team will share the common task between development team as well as testing team. So DevOps team, what they will do, via Jenkins, they will get the developer's code, they will create a build, they will perform some basic testing on the created build with the help of the code from testing team. And from where this DevOps team will get the code? They will get the code from GitHub repository. So developers code, they can get it from developers GitHub repository, and testers code, they can get it from testing team's GitHub repository for testing. And everything is automated in the DevOps team. Build creation, testing. After a successful build, they will send the email across the team, and every task is basically automated in the DevOps team, and they will use the tools like Jenkins. So that was the basic introduction that we have also seen in our last session. So now coming to individuals Git repository. So basically, whenever we write our testing code, so far we have seen in PyCharm, we have written our code in our NOP Commerce project. So this project, that is NOP Commerce project, is basically present in my local system currently. This project, if you see, this is present in my local system. This is known as a working copy. Now, after this, so basically if you see, this is the project location. So inside this location, this is all the files which are present in our NOP Commerce project. So this is the project in which we have written our code. Now, so far we have here. So far we are at this position. Now what we will do, we have to push the code into Git repository. Git repository is basically a local repository. So every individual will commit the code into Git repository first, that is local repository, and from this local repository we will push our code into GitHub repository, that is remote repository. That we will see in coming session, how to commit and how to push the code into Git repository as well as remote repository, that is GitHub repository. That committing and pushing the code we will see in next session. So far we have understood, if you want to push the code to Git repository and after that we have to push the code to GitHub repository, that is remote repository. And from this remote repository via Jenkins, DevOps team can get the code. So we will also see about Jenkins as well. In coming sessions, we will see how we can execute the code via Jenkins. So far, our code is in our local system only. So far, we are at this stage. And today's session, we will see how to install Git and how to create a GitHub account. So Git is basically present in every developers and every testers local system. So we have to install the Git software. That is our local repository. And GitHub basically is a cloud environment. So GitHub is a online account which we have to create. That is basically a cloud environment that we will see in today's session. So if you see the flow, user 1, user 2, user 3, they are developer or they can be a tester as well. So everyone individually will have Git installed in their system. Git is a local repository. Git software is used to create a local repository. So every individual will have Git installed in their system. They can commit their code into local repository. From local repository, we can push the code. So every individual will push the code to common GitHub repository. So Git is a revision control system. Git is a tool to manage your source code history. And GitHub is basically hosting service for Git repositories. So all the Git repositories which are local repositories can be hosted on one common GitHub repository. So Git and GitHub are basically two different things. Git is a tool. GitHub is the service for projects that use Git. So if you see, this is how the flow will look. So there would be, let's say, workstation for user 1. This is the workstation for user 2. This is the workstation for user 3. And there can be n number of developers or testers. They will maintain the project in their local system first. They will commit their code into local repository, that is Git repository. From local repository, they can push the code to remote repository, that is distributed version control system server. That is basically GitHub repository. That is a remote repository. And if someone wants to get the code from remote repository in their local system, they can pull the code. So this is the flow. From local repository to remote repository, we have to use push command. If someone wants to change the code from the remote repository, they have to first pull the code. And then they can update the code in their local system. And then again, they can commit, and after that, they can again push the changes to remote repository. So that is the high level steps to commit and push the code into local repository, and from local repository we can push the code to remote repository. So two important things which we require for this. So what are the two important things we should have? So first one is Git should be installed in our system. Now Git is a tool by which we can create the local repository. We can commit our code into local repository. So first we will see how to install a Git. So first we will see how to install a Git. So to install a Git system or Git software, what we can do? We can simply go to Git download. You can search for Git downloads. On the first website, we can visit the first website. If you see, this is their official website to download the Git in our system. It is showing the latest version as well. And depending on your operating system, you can select. So I am just selecting the Windows since I am Windows user. And here you can see 64-bit Git for Windows setup. So for my system, I am going to install 64-bit Git for Windows setup. So once you click on it, it will start installing one executable file. So it will start installing Git executable file. So you just have to visit the page, select your operating system, and you can select 64-bit for Git for Windows setup. It will start downloading one executable file. I have already downloaded that file and I have already installed it. So I will show you the screen for that. I will just show you the screenshots. What are the different screens you can see while installation. So once you download the Git executable file, I am just closing it. You can simply double click on that executable file. So once download is completed, you can double click on the executable file, and after that Git installation will start. So first step is we have to visit this website. After visiting this website, you can simply click on Windows. Then you can click on 64-bit Git for Windows setup. It will start downloading the executable file. Once that file is downloaded, we have to click on installer file. Then it will showcase you this screen. There are multiple screens which will come while installation. So we basically have to click on every time next button. So this is the first screen which you will see. You just have to click on next. After that, it will ask for selecting a destination location where Git should be installed. You can keep the default location. Just click on next. Then it will ask some of the options which are already selected. For example, open Git bash here, open Git GUI here. If they are already selected, then let it be and just click on next. Again, it will ask for start menu folder. Just click on next. Choosing the default editor used by Git, you can just keep the default editor and just click on next. Again, the first option should be selected. Just click on next. Always select the default option which are recommended. So next screen, again just click on next. Use bundled OpenSSH, it will be by default selected, so you can just click on next. Again, use the OpenSSL library, just click on next. For the next screen also, keep the default option and just click on next. Again, use MintTTY and just click on next. First option, again let it be selected, just click on next. Credential helper, again first option is selected, just click on next. Again for next screen also, just click next. This one is no option is selected, just you can see, if you see install button is here. So this is the final screen and you can just click on install. After clicking on install button, it will start the installation, and once the installation is completed, it will show you this final pop-up. You can just click on finish, and once you click on finish, installation is completed. So after that, Git will be installed in our system. So in my system it is already installed. So if you type here Git, it will show you three options: Git GUI, Git release notes, Git bash. That means Git is successfully installed in our system. So this is the installation for Git. So we have completed the installation of Git. So far what we have done is we have downloaded and installed Git in our system. If you see the graph, we need Git in our system that we have already installed. Now the next step is we have to also create GitHub account. Now Git will be used for creating a local repository, and from local repository we have to push the code to remote repository, and remote repository we have to create in GitHub account, in GitHub repository. So for that we should create GitHub account first. So far we should create GitHub account first. So we have downloaded and installed the Git. Then you have to create account on GitHub. So let me show you how we can create the account on GitHub. So we have to just visit github.com. So Git we have installed. So I'm just closing this. Now we have to visit github.com. So this is the website for creating your GitHub account. So once you go to github.com, I will just show you in incognito screen first. So we just have to use github.com visit. So once you visit the github.com and your account, if it is not created already, you can see sign in and sign up here. So first step is we have to click on sign up. And we have to create the account in GitHub. It will ask you for your email. So let me just show you the screenshots. It will ask you for email. Then it will ask you to set the password. After putting your email and after putting your password, it will send you one confirmation account code on that email. That account code, once you put correctly, it will ask you some of the basic options like how many team members are working with you. You can select appropriate options here. Then it will ask again some options for the usage. You can just select the first option. Then it will ask you for two types of accounts. So it provides free accounts and some paid accounts as well, pro account as well. So you can simply select the free account. You can just select continue for free. So this is basically first time account creation for GitHub. So you can select continue for free option, and after that your GitHub account will get successfully created. So you can see the screen will somehow will look like this when you create your account first time. First time when you will create the GitHub account, it will not have any repository. If you see, there is create repository button will be there. So you can create the new repository in GitHub. So once you create the account, you can see the screen and you can create your first new repository in the GitHub. So this is about GitHub account creation. So GitHub is a not any installable software. It is basically a cloud setup. We have to create the account first in our github.com by putting email ID, setting out the password, confirming your account. And once your account gets created, you can create repository in your GitHub account. In interview also, interviewer may ask you for your GitHub account link or GitHub repository link. So whenever we are doing any practice for any projects related to any language or any tool which we learn online, it is a good practice that we should always keep that code or keep those projects in our GitHub repositories. So that is good proof for interviewer as well. They can simply ask you for your GitHub repository URL, and once you provide that GitHub repository URL, they can easily see the project on which you have worked and any tool you have practiced, right? So it is a good practice to have your GitHub account, create the GitHub repository related to various projects and practice projects, keep those in the GitHub repository account, and you can also add this your GitHub account repository URL in your resume as well. So in your CV or in your resume, you can keep that GitHub repository URL as well. And that can be accessed. So whenever anyone in the world can access that GitHub repository URL and see the code and project which you have created in our GitHub repository. Again, there would be two options. So whenever you create the repository, you will see public and private option. So private basically used mostly by companies to keep the code confidential. That is basically license based. So you can create the private repository as well. That would be not accessible by anyone. That would be private to only yourself. And another option is public repository. Public repository can be accessed by anyone. So anyone who is having the URL of that repository can see the code which is present in public repository. So depending on the project, you can define whether it should be a private or it should be a public repository. So you can create for our demo project, which we are using for our practice purpose, we can create the public repository. Now I will show you one of the repository or one of the GitHub account for me. So this is GitHub account for me. I have already created some of the repository which are present here. So let me show you. So this is the GitHub repository present for me. You can see all the repositories also. And we have to create the new repository for our automation project. So we have to create a new repository for our automation project. That we will see in coming session. So first step is, so far what we have done is, we have completed downloading and installation of Git. Git will be used for creating a local repository. We will commit our code. So whatever code we have written so far in our local system, that code we will commit into Git repository, that is the local repository, and then from this local repository we will push the code to GitHub repository. That we are going to see in coming session. So far we have completed installation of Git in our system, and also we have created GitHub account as well. So if you see, this is the GitHub account which we have created. This is my account which is already created. You can create account for yourself and you can create new repository in our GitHub account. So in the coming session, we will see how to create repository in GitHub, how to create a local repository, how to commit the code into Git repository, that is the local repository, and after committing code to local repository, how we can push the code to remote repository, that is GitHub repository. That we will see in coming session. So far we have completed Git installation and GitHub account creation. So thank you for watching this video.